Good morning, Solaris 7. Calgary Battletech brings you Season 2 of Uncivil Discourse with your hosts, Brett, Lee, and commentary from Geoff. Welcome back after the holiday season. Whatever you celebrate or don't in your household, we hope you had a very Merry Christmas and a happy end of December.
Yeah, everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We are back at it and ready to entertain and inform you of what's coming up in the upcoming playoffs.
We hope everybody got to spend lots of time with friends and family over the holiday season here. And we want to welcome everybody back to the Uncivil Discourse for the final year-end recap and for the pertinent information leading into the playoffs.
Now, we were going to get the draw for Merrick Purple Lance that was all made up as the, Battle Basement was unfortunately unable to get back to us. And I've lost the paperwork, so I'm going to be digging through the paperwork and finding it, and then we'll get the draw done on the next Ramble Tech, which will be done in 1 week.
Sorry for the delay, folks.
It's all on me. It's my fault. I think I finally understand the Badmin name on Discord.
I'm sorry for nothing.
All right, so let's start off with summaries of the games from the final match of the season. Game number 1, we had Vandals Valkyries versus Condos Janissaries. These two teams meet on the Alien World, one of our custom maps, and have a rip-roaring good time. And when we say rip, we mean it. Early in the match, the Janissaries archer falls down, and the pilot decides it's nap time, getting taken out by the Hunchback shortly after that. The T-Sang, to take a leg off the Axeman in return, ripping it right off. The Thunderhawk proves its worth in this game, killing both the T-Sang and the Cerberus, while the Annihilator claims the Wraith. This turns into a 4-1 Valkyries victory today.
I got it right. I got it right. Woo. You know what? I had promised Chris I was not going to vote for him winning or losing the rest of the season, but I just had to because I know him and JP have great games, and it really does put it up into the air as who's going to win that one. I think Chris's dice just finally rolled average. And when they do that, he's got a really solid mech, just like a solid Lance. And that Thunderhawk coming in late in the game is going to be definitely a game changer for him. And sneaks him into the final spot in the B-side playoffs.
Oh, what can we say? Anytime that it seems JP comes up against Chris, he just does not have a good day for his stable. They have a good game, but the stable doesn't have a good day.
Well, last season, didn't his Banshee slip and fall and then refuse to get back up when they played?
He slipped and fell 3 times.
Yeah, and this time it's his Archer losing consciousness. And when you get down a mech early, it is so hard to get back.
This is 2 games for 2 on custom maps that have just gone sideways for Condos against Vandals. So that tells me more custom map usage, people. More custom maps. Game number 2, the B-side Brawlers look for a win and some other key losses to try and make it into A-side playoffs this year. The Blood of Bashir in the Barren Lands Arena face off against them in what Lee would call a really close game, man. We see the B-side bring home a 4-2 victory.
And I bet it was a lot closer than the score shows. I saw the information that Aaron had sent in to us because this was a late played game. And yeah, he took it to Andrew, 1-4-2. But the 2 kills for Andrew is actually doing pretty good with how his season's been going so far. And I bet you it was actually pretty tight. I'm glad to see Andrew finished off with some kills. And you got your wish there, Aaron. You're in the A side with the B side Brawlers.
Shh, don't give away that. That's later on in the episode.
You even said it.
No, I also said he had to have key losses by other matches.
I give stuff away all the time.
Game number 3, Thumper's Revenge, having a strong set of opponents this year to face off against. The War Club, a team that came out really strong and went undefeated for 6 or 7 games. The River Valley Arena doesn't help out the Bunnies today as they fall prey to the War Club 4-1. Who knew you could hunt bunnies with a blunt object?
Yeah, well, as we talked about when we were predicting this game, it's really difficult for anyone to face off against the War Club. They just get right in your face, beat you down, and by the time you realize what's happening, the game's over. Laura put up a really good defensive game, fighting back, doing what she can, got one of his mechs down, and probably did a pretty good set of damage to the other 3. But it's the War Club that they're a force to be reckoned with. I can't wait to see how it plays out in the playoffs for them. And unfortunately, this does slide the Bunnies down a little bit further on those standings.
Yeah, I was hoping the Bunnies might do a little more to the War Club here, but in the end, I wasn't truly surprised with the outcome. You know, they have been an extremely strong team all season.
Game number 4, Tin Man's Tin Cans and Parker's Pathfinders. While looking for the playground, they find each other in the Grasslands Thunderdome. 8 mechs enter, 2 mechs leave. Tin Man's put up another win today, 4-2, but I'm sure killing the Pathfinder's Nightstar the first time they shot at it had no impact in the match at all. None. Nope, not at all.
That's a pretty big tip over for Chris to have that mech killed early. Way to go. Justin gets to finish off the season, the regular season anyway, with a win. And Chris is in the B-side playoffs, right in the middle. So this wasn't really much more for Chris other than placement, where he was going to sit. It definitely gives Justin a good little kick in the butt as he goes into the postseason. And, well, Chris is going to bounce back and do well in the playoffs too, I think.
Yeah, it was. It's nice to see that the Tin Cans get another win. Unfortunately, it was at the expense of the Pathfinders, but and it's certainly, losing the Nightstar to a headshot like that's pretty sucky. But in the end, they both had fun, and Parker's Pathfinders, they really had a much better season than they did last year.
Now, if I remember correctly, because it was a while ago, it wasn't a headshot. It was a floater critical, 3 engines on the torso.
Ooh.
Wow.
The stars had to align for that shot.
Game number 5, the Red Suns Irregulars, currently holding 8th place, slip into Pavement Experience map. This is a city fight against Abishai's Avengers. Coming out with a vengeance, the Avengers take the head off the Phoenix Hawk early in the game. And then, shortly after that, take the head off the Thunderbolt. Nothing to see here, folks. Just the Red Suns losing their heads today. Match ends, 4-1 final score.
As always, I'm always cheering for Gary. I always want to see him do well. And he really needed this win to hold on to the 8th position. Losing does slip him a little bit further down. Max is a great player. Those are 2 teams that are going to be difficult to play against no matter who it is, but Max just seems to have that real killer instinct.
This would have been one of those key losses I was talking about earlier.
Yep, and it definitely changed things. It made this is actually the biggest key loss, key game, because him slipping out means somebody slipped into the 8th position. I think Gary's going to do well in the B side playoffs, and I know Max is going to be the guy to beat in the first round of the A side.
Yeah, Max is also one of the very strong players for this season, and Gary had a good run, but it had to end eventually, right? And these last 2 games weren't that favorable for him.
I mean, admittedly, if Gary had one, it would be Max and Gary again in first round of playoffs.
See, that's just mean.
Yep. So at least they're going to get to play different players now this way. Game number 6. 2 of our more esoteric players, having very defined playstyles, fight it out on a custom map with a maximum range of 15 hexes. Lords of the Underworld versus the Flying Tigers have a good old mech bash day, with the Flying Tigers Imp pulling 2 kills and winning the day 2-1 for them.
Paul didn't do anything crazy. Didn't go flying across the map board. Nothing weird. That's probably
No,
why
he
won.
was non-Paul today.
Yeah, it's probably why he won. You know what? That's good. Unfortunately, the win doesn't get Paul into the B-side playoffs, but it does give him a good finish at the end of the regular season. And you know what? Those teams that didn't make the A or B side playoffs still get to play for something, right? They're still winning prizes, getting to come out and play, as well as just having some fun and being part of the community. It's going to be good to have them. And way to go, Paul. Way to go to finish off the regular season with another win.
Yeah, it's always nice to see that Paul is getting back into the swing of things. And it just goes to show when he doesn't do totally crazy things, he can pull off the win.
Game number 7, after the bring your own opponent night that Kels Keshik stole a 4-0 victory in 5 turns, they run into a Karma. The Karma? Runs into Karma?
Run into Karma.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying. And Petulant Perry's Periphery Pirates. Using yet another custom map this week, the Fortress has these two teams fight it out while trying to stay standing on the concrete. Marauder dies to a Gunslinger Gauze Rifle to the face. Avatar loses a leg to a floating crit. Sounds like my Gunslinger from last year. Yeah, this game did not go the way the Keshik wanted it to. 4-1, Pirate victory.
You would think that a fight in the Fortress would have been Kels Keshik's wheelhouse. You think about it, his King Crab is a close-range nightmare. And he's got other mechs that are just as scary at close up. So the fact that Galen was able to really take it to him on ground that benefits him, that's really big that he was able to beat Geoff. And Galen's a good team, right? So it's two great teams beating each other senseless in the city fight, and puts a bit of a point for all the people that are above Galen in the playoffs. He is capable of beating the best of you. You guys are going to have a lot of work taking him out in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's I'm shocked by it, a 4-0 victory. I would have thought
4-1.
Oh, that's right, 4-0 from last season, or his previous match.
Yep.
I still would have thought on this map it would have been a little closer than a 4-1, especially with the Keshik. Like you say, there is some good sight lines on that map, and once again, taking headshots for stuff, it just doesn't help, right?
Game number 8, Odin Storm Riders take aim at Risten's Rogues in the Red Peaks, and put up a valiant fight, ending with a 3-1 Rogues victory. Geoff, why don't you tell us how this went?
Dude, that was so long ago, I don't even remember it.
What did you have for breakfast?
Scrambled eggs and bacon, and it
Well,
wasn't
at least you
breakfast.
remember
That was lunch. So, but no, it was still a good game. Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth, and in the end, though, it was just some better shots and a little better positioning carried the day for that one. No, it was a really good game, though. I really enjoyed playing against Will.
Yeah, I find Will really enjoyable to play with. He knows his stuff. Like, it's not like he's unaware of how Battletech is played. He hasn't had the best season. Things have been a little bit rough with him, but that's League as well. There's a lot of a learning curve just to get into the swing of things with the way League's done it. Timed Battletech is also a little bit more difficult for people. Having to make a decision in a hurry versus, we've got all day. Let's just figure it out. No, you have your limited amount of time to play, and you got to get it out. 3-1. Well, we kind of were guessing that you were going to get the win, Geoff, but it's good to see that Will didn't just roll over and let you run over him.
No, if like I was saying at the end of the match, I remember with if he had just concentrated his fire a little bit more, it would have been a 3-2.
Sounds good. So, game number 9, Blitzkrieg Jezebels take it to the custom Mistlands map. The Fallen Angels Lance with guest pilot Nate, someone who we hope will come out and join us next season. This game had lots of funs and grins, and a 1-0 final score for the Jezebels.
This was key, actually, for the Jezebels. They got a big bump in the playoffs because of this win. I know she had a lot of fun playing Nate, because Nate's a fun guy to hang around with. He's will definitely be a valuable asset to the league if he joins us next season. The only thing that makes things difficult is people come down, sit down with the Fallen Angels mechs, and never seen them before. Don't know anything about them, so it kind of gives the team that's had experience with their Lance a bit of an advantage. But I know they had a lot of fun, and it was tight. Like 1-0 could have actually either been a tie or a loss for the Jezebels if things had slipped the other direction. But good on Heather for getting that win.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you say, it's hard to jump into somebody else's stable, without being able to get a feel for the mechs right off the bat, right? So, yeah, good job to Nate, and an even better job to Heather for getting that win.
Game number 10 sees the Donru Tiger Slayers take on the 2nd St. Ives Janissaries in the Foothills Arena. This match could have benefited from another hour long on the time clock. It ended in a 2-2 tie, first time for the Janissaries, and second in a row for the Tiger Slayers. Fire went back and forth, mechs holding together with hopes and wishes and dreams and duct tape and bubble gum, and really just waiting for a little bit more time to fall to pieces. This was a good game. It was back and forth. I couldn't grind them down quick enough, but I think it would have been a really good game to just see who was left standing if we had had more time. As it was a tie. Good on Brandon.
Non-loss games are, and that's what I'm going to call them. They're not non-wins; they're non-losses. Are stressful because you're right down to the final moments. You're like, I can do this, I can take it. Or like my game against Brandon, who we ended up in a tie as well. Just holding on, hoping my mechs survive long enough to get me the win. It's frustrating, but it's also fun. It's one of the nail-biting moments in League. The fact that he was able to pull 2 ties out of the admin is good on him, especially with that horror show that your Atlas is. His Orion is a monster as well, so that could have offset it a little bit. Really good on him to take you to a tie, and if he had beaten you, that would have made a big change in the standings.
That's true. Yeah, he came close to beating you, which is, but like a certain movie says, if you ain't first, you're last, right? These not wins, in the end, they do, not scoring those 3 points and only getting that one. Yeah, but no, good on the Tiger Slayers for tying up the game, especially in the face of the higher experience level facing you, Brett, than what Brandon normally has to play.
Game number 11, Mass Destruction and the Doom Buds hold strong and pick one of our custom maps, the Lunar Base. I heard this game also ended in a 2-2 tie lead, but tell us how that happened.
You know what? I've had 2 ties in the past 2 games, and the only thing I can say is that C3 and C3I do a great job of countering each other. Both Alex and I were not tentative, but we didn't really go at each other at first. I was able to kind of use the buildings to keep his line of sight blocked, especially from his Crusader, because he picked Personal Vendetta against my Crab. So I made sure he wasn't getting easy shots at the Crab, if see the Crab at all. And every round I got a kill, he got a kill. So I killed his Crusader, he killed my Archer. Okay, everything's going good. He kills my Salamander, I killed his Longbow. It was just like that. The same turn. Death. I was a little bit aggressive with my Archer because I was getting tired of getting hit on 4s and 5s, and I kind of got him in a position where I couldn't get him out of line of sight. I knocked down his Crusader, so I ran my Archer up on top of one of the little... I don't even know what to call them. I'll call them pipes, but I think it was actually connections for the lunar base. So I could kick him if he did stand up. Meanwhile, shot him and fired my LRMs down range at his Highlander and his Longbow. And sure enough, I just get hammered by weapons fire and down it goes. Luckily, I took out his Crusader the same turn. It was a great game, and it really showed a lot of learning on Alex's part. He's gained a lot of understanding of the game. Still little things that we had to go over during the game, but they were really obscure rules. Indirect fire isn't used that often, so the little things about it and the little limitations, like the fact you can't use it with the C3 or C3I network showing any benefit, that it makes a difference. So it was a very good game. Really enjoyed it. I always enjoy playing against Alex because he seems to step it up when he's playing against me. And he made no errors in judgment in any of the way that I saw he played, like he did last season. So I'm really pleased with the tie. Would have liked to win, but it didn't change my real placement in the playoffs anyway.
Another tie. Tisk, tisk, tisk.
This season, and a bye win.
It's not a bye win.
No, I had a bye win and 3 ties.
No, it's not a bye win.
It is bye win.
It's a bye non-loss.
Yeah, bye non-loss, exactly. Yeah.
Bye win.
No, bye non-loss. Sorry. Being confirmed by 2 to 3.
To be absolutely honest, take it up with Justin. He's the one who should have shown up to play our game.
We know you just paid him to stay away. So
Right. Like, I can't afford to give you money. I can't afford to give him money.
I mean, I'm here. He's available now. You could just replay and we could retroactively put the score in.
No. Unfortunately, we have rules that say that after the Sunday, the week after, can't play the game. Has to be in.
You can play the game. It just doesn't count for scoring.
Yeah, well, I'm going to whoop his butt in the off season.
Mentioning that, I read through my notes again, and my game against Brandon was actually a 1-1 tie, not a 2-2 tie.
1-1 tie. Okay. That shows that Brandon was doing a really good job keeping your Marauder 2 and your Atlas at bay.
Yeah, I remember his Warhammer had like 2 points internal center torso. I don't think the Kakata had more than 8 points of armor left at all anywhere combined.
So what you're saying then is you just couldn't finish the job.
Yeah, I just couldn't get finished.
That's sad. Sorry to hear that, Brett.
I got nothing. I'm staying out of this.
No, it sounds like you and Alex had a really good game, Lee, and great job to Alex on on sneaking out that tie.
He did really well. Did fantastic. My smoke and minefields kind of threw him for a loop there for a bit. Kept his mech that he likes to park sitting still, moving, which he wasn't really ready for. So the numbers were usually in my favor. I'll say this about both my game against Brandon and against Alex. I was missing on 5s. So yeah, I was missing on 5s. So when there's a lot of fire going back and forth and we're missing on good numbers, that's a pain in the butt. But you know what? Alex did play a great game, and I really liked how he was running his Wraith and his Crusader.
So you were channeling your inner Geoff.
Oh yeah.
Sounds about right. But my issue is only on when it comes to the Wraith, or not the Wraith, my Night Sky, you know. The thing that has pulses and mobile fire and is still like, no, we don't want to hit. No. What's that? You need 4s? No, we'll roll 3s or 2s.
Yeah. I rolled one set, it was all 1s and 3s.
All right, folks. Well, that's a wrap for the season. Well, regular season anyways. And that's going to determine who goes where for the draft next season and who gets to pick which faction first. So, it's nice. And so 21st place and first draft for the season next year goes to Andrew with the Blood of Bashir. Sorry, Andrew, that you came in last, but hey, you get your first pick at faction next season. 20th place with the Lords of the Underworld, Jay. Good choice. You also get second pick for next season when it comes to factions. 19th place, we have the Tin Man's Tin Cans, so third pick overall. 18th with the fourth pick is going to be Thumper's Revenge, followed by the Flying Tigers, who just missed out on the B-side finals. And then that rounds out the folks that didn't make B-side. So leading into B-side, in 16th place, we have the Vandals Valkyries. 15th, we have the Odin's Storm Riders, followed by Parker's Pathfinders in 14th. 13th place, we get the Doom Buds. Great job to Alex. That's quite an improvement over last year. Same with Parker's Pathfinders. 12th place is the Donru Tiger Slayers. 11th place, Mass Destruction.
Darn you, non-wins.
You just had to get those bye losses in, right? 10th place, we have the Blitzkrieg Jezebels. Great job, Heather. And rounding off the top of B-side In 9th place, we have the Red Suns Irregulars. All right, folks. Now the final 8 places for the A side. So leading the bottom of A side, the B side Brawlers. So does that mean we're going to see a name change next year?
I think they will, and they had to win their last game, and Gary had to lose their last game for this to happen. It was a really interesting twist to that. There was 3 teams waiting to see what happened with Gary, and then Brandon and I end up tying so we got knocked out of it. Heather couldn't quite reach it with the points, and then freaking Aaron just stole it right out from underneath Gary.
Maybe the fix was in. Maybe Gary just wanted to make Aaron choose
so.
a new name next year, right? Yeah, that's what I think it was too. All right, moving into 7th place, we have the Petulant Perry's Periphery Pirates, followed by the Condos Janissaries in 6th place. 5th place was the War Club. 4th place, Kel's Keswick. 3rd place, 2nd St. Ives Janissaries. 2nd place, Riston's Rogues and myself. And 1st place and the last draft pick for next year, Abishai's Avengers. Max, great job on finishing in 1st place for the regular season. It's really nice to see that quite a few of our newer players, new to the league anyways, are in the top end and did really well.
Yeah, it's always nice when one of the new players for their first season comes out and is like rookie of the year kind of situation there.
Yeah, and he did amazingly well. Just like when Steven came in last season, we didn't know anything about him, and he just kind of ruled the roost right up until playoffs. Max is doing amazing. I'm really impressed with his gameplay. We'll have to see how it goes from there, though.
All right, and that'll take us into the next section of our podcast, which is our interview of the week by our special podcast interviewer, Heather. Take it away, Heather, and entertain us all.
This is Heather from the Calgary Battletech League, and I have Laura, the other lovely lady in our league. How are you doing today?
Doing okay.
Jonesing
Jonesing to get back to playing.
Jonesy, yeah, I know. I can't believe that our next game is Sunday. So I wanted to ask you what you thought of League this year compared to last year. Because I know last year you weren't able to play your games at the Den, but this year you were. And I was wondering if you noticed any difference in...
It's so much more fun playing with a group of people. Like, playing the games stuck in Brett's basement. Seeing only 1 or 2 other members from League last year was just... It's rough. Like, there's no community.
Yeah, well, and I liked how, like, this year you really, like, when we did our potluck at Christmas, you totally got in there and helped me out with that, which was awesome. It's nice to also not be the only girl at League for the boys to all hassle and treat me like their little sister, which that's not going to change, but still. Yeah, it's nice definitely to have someone to sit and talk shop about that's not just...
Or smack about the boys.
Yeah, talking smack about the boys is definitely a bonus. I do like doing that for sure. Like Mackenzie was there last year, but she even wasn't able to play a lot of games at the Den either. So it's definitely nice to be able to do that. And so how did you feel your season went? I know you're not exactly happy with your final standings, but...
It was a good season. My dice abandoned me for most of my games. Had some tough opponents. But I was happy with the way I played.
Well, I know you had a heavy end of your season, but like the game you played against Max, you totally held your own. I was gonna say held yourself, but that's not exactly what I meant. But you held your own ground and stuff. Like it was a pretty close game.
Yeah, he didn't take out all 4 of my mechs, which I was happy.
And
I don't think even my match against Calvin was fantastic. I had fun, even though it was in your face right away, and I just didn't know what to do. But it was enjoyable. Like,
yeah, it's when you can play against someone. Like, I remember playing. Didn't play Calvin this year, but later in I think it was the game you played with him. We were sitting beside you, and just being able to talk to him a little bit was kind of cool, because I hadn't been able to have much talk with him before. But yeah, he kind of scares me. So does Max. I'm kind of glad I don't have to face either of those guys, because I'm in the B. But
yeah,
what are we gonna do? Maybe I'll be back in the next year. I think I was in playoffs last year. We only had one side. No, we had two.
I had two, because I was second in B-side.
Right, and Aaron, Aaron, the B-side brawlers. Yeah, him and his. I'm still wondering what his name's going to be next year, but we'll have to figure out what that is. But I did want to see what you've played. You've been a gamer for years, like me, and what brought you into Battletech? Like,
oh, originally?
Yeah.
Brett. I blame it all on Brett.
It's always the husbands or the ex-husbands. It's always their fault.
No, it was I didn't have anything to do to get me out of the house, and Alex was bawling little newborn. No, that's not true. He was actually a pretty good kid. But no, it was Stu's league down at the other place, and at first it was tag along and see how it goes, and I'd be the mom, had the kid, he played and watched the game, asked some questions, and then it's like, well, do you want to learn how to play? So we played some fun games at home, and then the next year after that I was playing in the league with Stu and them.
Yeah, that's like, I blame it all on my husband too. I talked about it last year in one of my interviews. It's like, well, yeah, I've dated someone before, and I'm like, that looks like the stupidest game ever, and now I'm kind of partial to it. And so what other kind of games you play? Like, I know you play some D&D and...
Play D&D. I used to play online roleplay. Played EverQuest for the longest time. And then when World of Warcraft came out, played that for the longest time. So Alex would sit on our lap and push buttons, move the characters around the screen. And now the kid stays up half the night raiding. Or
goes to League and wallops everybody. Like,
yeah.
Why did you guys do that?
Genetics. He was born to be a gamer.
Yeah, well, that's
inevitable.
I think that's going to be our 9-year-old. I think that'll be Cam. It definitely won't be Claire. Claire's too prissy, too girly. But hey, from what I hear, no, you were really girly when you were little. You were like me. You're a tomboy, so okay. Yeah, it is kind of in the genetics.
Yeah.
I don't know then. What is your favorite tabletop game?
Battletech. Actually, the mechwarrior campaign that we ran when I was still living with Brett was fun. It was a Solaris mechwarrior campaign. So we did the Battletech side of it, but we also did the role-playing side of it. And I just liked them. The mashup of the two just was fun.
Yeah, I haven't played much D&D or anything like that, but we did start one campaign, and that was really fun. We hadn't gotten to the actual Battletech side of it. It was just the role playing, but that was fun. But we ended up, well, and life happened, right? And you can't continue playing, or someone's careers change and kids are born, and God, those little gremlins. Okay, so if you could choose between board games, tabletop games, or video gaming.
Oh, tabletop.
Tabletop?
Yeah. Because you actually physically sit face to face with a single or multiple people, and it's just community, camaraderie, bashing somebody at their face, calling them out for something stupid. It's just a lot more enjoyable when you have a physical presence rather than, a headset and a microphone. And
yes.
But don't get me wrong, talking with some of the guys in the guild for EverQuest, some of them were in Britain, so the accents were fantastic.
I'll keep that off on the low-key right now. We're not going to get into that conversation. Thanks for joining me tonight, Laura. Actually, doing an in-studio recording in my completely unfinished office, but hey, it has walls and
chairs.
And chairs, comfy chairs. Yeah, too bad anyways. So yeah, we're going to say thank you. You guys have an awesome time, and we're going to turn it back to the boys. Thank you.
Ciao.
Awesome. Thanks for that interview, Heather. And now into the rest of our season, or sort of, did I say playoff extravaganza, perhaps, for what's coming up. But before that, after 10 games, our standings have shaken down to a pretty decent group where the top 8 players have similar win-loss rates. And players 19 through 16 have a pretty tight points differential also. If we had 3 more players, we would have been able to do a full 3-division playoff.
The Calgary Battletech League has a 3-round single elimination playoff schedule. As a single elimination, there can be no tie games in playoffs. Kills matter. As in the regular season, dead mechs win games. However, if both sides have an even number of lost units, then we will look at the forced withdrawal rules. And finally, if that still does not determine a winner, then damage done will be the final overall tiebreaker. Because we want a 3-round playoff, it is broken down into 8-player divisions, simply labeled A and B for convenience, with hopefully a C next year. For all of our players, flip to the last page of your playoff packet, or your league packet, and that has the breakdown of how playoffs function.
Yes, as always, read your packet.
But Uncle Lee, reading's hard.
Then ask the person beside you to read it to you.
But that's you.
It's a good thing we don't pay people.
Well, this leads us into the playoffs, people. Starting with the B side, the upper echelon, we have game number 1. And this matchup will see the 9th place Red Suns Irregulars face off up against the 16th place Vandals Valkyries. Now, we're seeing an up step with the Vandals Valkyries. Their mechs are starting to gel. I think Chris is a lot more comfortable with them. And Gary just had a really disappointing loss, which pushed him out of the A-side playoffs into the top of the B-side. I'm going to say Gary's going to be a little upset about that, and he's going to come out swinging, and I think he's going to get a first-round win. It's going to be a 4-2 win, and it also helps me keep my promise to Chris.
All right, so I think this is going to be a Thunder Chicken win. I think the Thunderhawk is going to pull 2 kills in this match, and that is going to make a difference. This is going to be an overall 3-2 final victory for Vandals Valkyries.
You know, I think Chris is coming off the high of that win there, and that Thunder Chicken is going to put in work. I don't know if it's going to get 2 kills, but I do see a Vandal Valkyrie win with. Sorry, Gary. I know you want to. You're just going to jam all the racks. That's the reason why. Okay. But yeah, Vandal Valkyrie win, and I think it's going to be. I kind of actually agree with you, Brett. I think it's going to be a 3-2.
Moving on to game number 2. In 10th place, we have the Blitzkrieg Jezebels, and they'll face off up against the 15th ranked Odin Storm Riders. And I think we have the team names right this time, right? We've got it finally.
Just in time for it to be, null and void after a month.
Yeah. Well, 10 games in, we finally got it right every time. 60% of the time, it works every time. I think
we had it right at about game 6. You're just a little slow.
It took a while.
Will's Storm Riders actually beat Heather earlier on in the season. Very close, tight game that I think Heather just wanted to play more rounds, and I think we would have seen a potentially bit of a different score. It is my wife. It does seem a little bit self-serving to say that she's going to win, but I'm still going to say the Blitzkrieg Jezebels are going to win, mainly due to experience. I think she's going to try to shake off this trend that we've been talking about, how she plays to her opponent. I think because it's playoffs, she's going to be a little bit more cutthroat, and she's going to beat him. And she's going to beat him with a 4-2, because I think she's going to be really aggressive about it.
Heather, I like brownies, with or without chocolate chips, and with or without icing, doesn't matter. I think this is going to be a Blitzkrieg Jezebels victory but I think you're overly anticipating the dead mech count. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Blitzkrieg Jezebel's victory this time, unless there's some water on the map that she can jump into, and that just might make things go wrong.
Yeah, Heather jumping into level 2 water. I don't think she'll do that again, okay? I think that was a one-time thing.
Yeah, write that down.
You know,
don't do this. Yeah.
Yeah. Will has a really good lance. And his experience has just gotten better over the season, too. I think it's going to be a hard-fought fight for the Blitzkrieg Jezebels to pull off a win here. And I do think we're going to see a Jezebel win. But I think we're going to see... I'm predicting a fairly low count for rounds, probably 12, 13 rounds maybe. So I think we're going to see a low kill count.
So could we say that it's like a 1-1 win for Blitzkrieg Jezebels scored off of forced withdrawal?
No, I don't think it's going to be that. I think we'll see a 2-1 in the end, but
because that's a factor we haven't really been considering. We're talking about just dead mechs. It could be that we get some games.
Yeah.
Like if I had played Brandon in the playoffs, it'd have been a win for me because one of his mechs was on forced withdrawals and mine wasn't.
Yeah, if Brandon and I had played in playoffs, it would have been a 4-1 because all of his mechs were in forced withdrawal.
Yeah, exactly. And then with Alex, I didn't even try to count it up. It was tight. I had 2 mechs that were in forced withdrawal, but I think yeah. So
I
think
was
he would have
factoring that
actually been
into
a
my
win for
calls
Alex.
so far.
I think that would have been a win for Alex if our game had been in a playoff game. So that's going to really take into effect as well. I wasn't taking forced withdrawal. I'm talking killed mechs. Though my 4-2 might actually make a little bit more sense if we take forced withdrawal as a killed mech. Because I kind of agree with you guys. My score is a little bit high, but I'm willing to run with it.
Yeah, if you factor in forced withdrawal, that's not super out of place.
Well, that moves us on to game number 3, where we see the 11th placed losers mass destruction. Really? Losers? Brett, I've really got to stop reading what you write down. And they'll meet up with the Parker's Pathfinders in the round 1 of these playoffs. I played Chris earlier in the season. It was a tight game, actually. I did beat him, but it was close. The only thing was my entire lance wasn't linked up when I played him, so I've got that advantage. But his Night Star is always a worry. I'm going to say I'm going to win because I need to. This is very important. But it's going to be close again. I'm going to say 3-2.
Well, yeah, if you don't win, you don't go on to round 2.
Exactly.
I actually think you are going to go on to round 2 this year, Lee. I think factoring in forced withdrawal, this is going to be a mass destruction 3-2 victory. I agree with you.
He could go all the way. No, he won't. I agree. I think we are going to see a mass destruction win. I don't think we're going to see the 3-2 that you guys predict. I think we're going to see a 4-3. I think there's going to be a lot of death.
Yeah, I'm quite sure Chris is going to play a really good game. I'm just, like, in my head, I am kind of doing the chess thing or the comparison of my medium versus his medium, my next medium versus his first heavy, and just going back and forth with those, and it's going to be close. We'll see.
I think in the end, it's going to come down to his Night Star as the last mech, and it's unless there's some lucky shots, I think you're going to have to dig it out. But I think in the end, yeah, you'll manage it.
Well, game number 4, we have the 12th place Dawnru Tiger Slayers. They're facing off against the Doom Buds 13th place. This is C3I versus C3. We're going to see how well those guys can face off against it. This is an extremely difficult game to call because both teams have some background in Battletech. They're both legacy players. And they both got some really ugly lances. Like, they're tough. I'm going to say the harder game of the two of them for me was actually the Dawnru Tiger Slayers when I played them, so I'm going to have to give them the win on this. But it's going to be close. I'm going to actually say, and this is going to take forced withdrawal into effect, I'm going to say it's going to be 3-2, but I bet you it's actually like a 1-1 tie on the field, and they're going to have to count pips to figure out who won.
Are you sitting down, Lee? Because once again, I agree with you. This is absolutely going to be determined by force withdrawal rules, and it is going to have one or both of us come over to the table and figure out what the final score is. I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be a 3-2 victory. I want to say for my kid, but I actually can't even call it. I don't know who's going to get this. I have to choose a side, though, so I'm picking Alex to progress to round 2. Doom Buds 3-2.
You know, Alex has made leaps and bounds this season with his play, with his lance. You know, he's got a much deeper knowledge of his lance, and he's gonna face a tough opponent though. The Donru Tiger Slayers are pretty decent. You know, he's for Brandon's first year in the league, like you say. He's bringing that little bit of knowledge he has for being a legacy player, but I think in the end we're going to see a Tiger Slayers win. As much as the Doom Buds, I think, would be nice for them to advance. I think the Tiger Slayers in the end are going to take it, and I think it's going to be a 2-1.
It's going to be close. Like it's almost impossible to call this, and it's more of I had to go with who I had a harder time playing against, and Donru, like Brandon, put me like confused a couple of times of what I should do, where Alex, we just played a good solid game. So I'm going with the person who confused me the most and took me to task the most, so that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, it's 2 second-generation League players, so it could go either way. I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be a good game, and I think it's really going to come down to looking at sheets and potentially adding up pips of damage.
Yeah, B-side, I think this is the game to watch.
All right, well, that finishes off the B-side. And now let's move into A-side with our teams that finished in the 1st to 8th place.
Game number 5, we have the 1st place Abishai's Avengers up against the 8th place B-side Brawlers. These teams have not faced off against each other in the regular season, so they have no idea what to expect or what they're running into. B-side Brawlers kind of backed into the A-side. Like they started off being kind of dominant and then fell apart halfway through the season, and Max has been solid all the way through. Now, and I'm going to say it this time, that being said, Aaron actually does know how to play this game. He's got a good lance. It's solid. That Archer is a scary mech, and his Night Star with determination has turned the tides of at least one game for sure, and I think 2 since he's taken the skill. I'm gonna say Aaron's gonna surprise people. I'm gonna say the B-side Brawlers knock off the 1st place team with a 4-3 game using force withdrawal counting to figure out the end score.
I think Aaron's going to shine. I think he's going to get a good game in, and if he gets the right map, I think this is going to go really well in his way. If he gets the wrong map, I think he still has a chance to pull it out and do an upset here. I'm going to call for B-side Brawler. I think it is going to be a 4-3 final victory, and that will be determined by probably only about 4 dead mechs on the field, everything else being within force withdrawal.
Yeah, and this is going to be one of the few times Max doesn't just wipe the table with their opponent.
You guys are sure loving your force withdrawal.
I think it's going to have a major effect this for especially the first round of playoffs.
I also know that both of these players listen to our podcast and are prone to overthinking things.
You know, Aaron is a pretty solid player. Max is a very solid player. Yeah, I know both you called for the B-side Brawlers, but I think you are incorrect, and I think it's going to be Abishai's Avengers in the end. But I do agree with you both that it's going to be a 4-3 victory. It's going to be a slugfest from these two, and yeah, I think the only difference, because I believe both of them have determination on it.
Aaron has it on his Night Star, and Max has it on the 4 PPC Awesome.
Yeah, so that's a lot of damage on both sides being sent out, right? So Yeah. In the end, though, I do think Abishai's Avengers are going to take the win and knock the B-side brawlers back where they should be.
B-side.
No.
B-side.
Sorry, Aaron.
And I've been on Aaron's behind all season, and now I'm cheering for him. Only because I think he really does stand a chance. His mechs are pretty solid.
Well, because he made it into A-side and you didn't.
No. My season's been the way it's been. I can't really compare myself to anybody. It's just been there, but it's been awfully fun to play.
That really is all that matters at the end of the day.
Yep. And reading your packet. Game number 6. We have the second place Riston's Rogues up against the 7th place Petulant Perry's Periphery Pirates. Another matchup where the teams missed each other during the regular season and are now facing off in the playoffs. Now, Geoff, you haven't had spectacular games. You've just won. Meanwhile, Galen either won like convincingly well or lost convincingly well. So you got both sides. You just are steady and keep going, and Galen's kind of up and down. I'm gonna say, as I'd love to see in the A side finals, but I think Galen's gonna be on an upswing, and I think he's gonna beat you. I think it's going to be I can't say 3-2. I got to go 4-3 again. No, 4-2. It's going to be 4-2 for the Petulant Berries.
Okay, so this is a game that is going to come down to, I think Geoff's mediocre luck throughout the season is not going to impact his playoffs. He's going to have the game that he should have been playing all season long, and I think it's going to be just a straight up 4-2, no forced withdrawal considerations at all. It's just going to be 6 dead mechs, 2 walking off the field, Riston's Rogue victory.
So Lee's against me and Brett's for me, huh? Oh, I see how
I just think Galen's going to be on an upswing.
I actually no. I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a good game. Like you say, I didn't get to see Galen or Max or Calvin or any of those guys in the regular season. So I am looking forward to this. And really, I don't care if I get knocked out turn 1. That means I get to have more fun by commenting on everybody else's games, right? And actually watching them, getting to watch some games this season. No, and I'm going to try for the win. So I'm going to call a win for myself. We'll go. Let's go 3-2.
Game number 7. We have the 3rd place 2nd St. Ives Janissaries up against the 6th place Condo Janissaries. Now, who really is the better Capella State representative?
Well, one's not Capellans and the other one...
He typed it in.
Depends on the time frame. They were both Capellan, then they weren't, then they were again.
I'm just reading what he wrote, dude.
Yeah, we saw what happened last time.
I know
exactly what he wrote.
I know. We're
right?
gonna have to hire a writer. This is getting out of hand. I'm gonna go with this. I'm just gonna move on to this and say, you were dreading this opponent setup, Brett. I know you said that. You're like, I really don't want to face JP. I really don't want to. And guess what? First round, that's exactly what's happening. But I think your Lance is probably one of the sneakiest, most underhanded, dirty playing Lances in League, and that's a compliment. I'm gonna actually give this to you. I think you're gonna beat JP. It's going to be unapologetically ugly. It's going to be a 4-1.
So I've played JP over the years in many different matches, seasons, games. We even had a play game this season when both of us had opponents that couldn't make it on regular game day. He had a really good map for him. It was bad for me. I have yet to beat him when it matters, but if it doesn't matter, I usually beat him. So it's kind of why I was dreading going into this. I was looking at my last game in Season 10 and I'm like, what do I have to do in this game to not play JP on round 1? And it didn't work out that way. I'm hoping that that's where it didn't work out that way for me ends. I'm hoping that we get a decent map that is going to work for me, that is not going to hinder me like the River Delta 1 that I played him on during the season. And I think This is going to be a 3-2 Second St. Ives Janissary game. But I also wouldn't be upset playing Petulant Perries if we're both out on round 1 and going on to round 2 for fun games.
So you're just assuming then that both you and the Petulant Perries are going to be out? Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm hoping to win, but that's actually what I'm thinking. Yep.
Okay. I think it's going to come down to what does JP's dice do for him, right? Or not do for him in some cases. Not knowing the map, which screwed you over last time. I think this time around, though, I don't know. It's not going to be much different. I think...
Brett, have you lost since you took trial run?
No.
That doesn't matter, though. Trial run's not that scary. JP knows how to handle that. So, No, you know what, Brett? I think the Condos Janissaries are going to be the... I'm going to retch. The better Capellans here. Not the retching on him winning. It's the retching on Capellans winning. I think it's going to be a... you know what? I think it's going to be a 4-2 for the Janissaries.
Yep, that's a safe call. 4-2 Janissaries at the end of the day.
There you go. Well, we've got game number 8 coming up. We have the 4th place Kells Keshik versus the 5th place War Club. This is probably, in my opinion, going to be the game to watch for the first round because these two teams have been really powerful throughout the season. Funny enough, like I said, and Kells Keshik were kind of, for me anyway, we're just kind of floating under the surface there, and then all of a sudden just came out crazy strong. And then when you look at their record, really they were going crazy strong all season. The War Club have been just brutalizing their opponents. This is probably the hardest call for me to make tonight. It's going to be the War Club, and it's going to be 4-3.
When it comes down to it, you're really looking at the 4th and 5th and the, 6th or 12th and 13th or whatever. The two teams that finish right in the middle of each division is really a hard call. It's going to be a good game. They're going to have fun. It is going to be a death field of dead mechs. It's going to be a 4-3. I think... let me flip a coin here just a second. Kells Keshik, 4-3 victory.
I call bullshit on the coin flip. I didn't hear anything, so I'm going to say it is not valid. We're going to need a redo on the field.
And I think it's going to be a 3-3 with force withdrawal determining who has the last dead mech.
Oh, you and your force withdrawal.
Call my coin toss bullshit with you.
I will indeed. No, I'm actually this is going to be a really good game between these two. The War Club started off super strong, and even though they're in 5th place, they still finished really strong. In their matches. Same with the Keshik. Although the Keshik did have that bring your own friend to play against.
Yeah, we're well. We won't argue with that one. I think that was just saving face.
Who knows, right? His opponent though, we might see him next year too. So
that's the hope, right?
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, you are welcome. Come out, even if we call you Jeff.
Yep. Wait, why would we call him Jeff?
Inside joke that you weren't here for.
All right then. Clearly.
Yeah, Papa.
Sure. Anyways, back to actually calling the winner of this game. I think we're going to be seeing a Kells Keshik wing, and I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a 4-2.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a great game.
I also have 2 Oreos that says this is the first game finished on next game day.
That's a good one. Yeah, I bet you it is. Unless, Max completely just curb stomps poor little Aaron.
Or Aaron punches him in the face to death.
True, could be that too if he'd actually get that archer in there and do what it's supposed to do.
You mean the not scary archer?
I might take a charger next
Right.
season just to do that same thing.
All right. Well, that finishes off both our A side and B side matches, but that doesn't mean that's the end of our matches for the season. Those folks that if we get enough next year, which would be in the C division, are still going to be playing just for a little, a couple of fun games, and there's still some prizes for those folks. But just because they're knocked out doesn't mean they're out for good. It's going to be some fun games, I think. They don't get a trophy. Do they get a trophy? Brett, are we giving them a trophy?
If we have enough for 3 divisions, I will find a way to get a trophy for 3rd division too.
Yep.
Excellent. So least but not least, whatever. It's one of those nights, right? Game number 9. Take it away, Lee.
Game number 9. We have the Thumper's Revenge up against the Flying Tigers. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm really looking forward to that game. Laura and Paul are going to have a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if they played in the regular season, and the cool thing is Laura has a really good aggressive play. And I don't mean aggressive like all 4Max just charge across the battlefield like the War Club does and kicks you in the teeth. She's just aggressive. You know she's coming after you. There's no tentativeness. Flying Tigers, they will make aggression look tentative. And then jump behind you and shoot the mech beside you instead of shooting you in the back. It's just, Paul does so many weird things. I think it's just going to be a fun, great game. I'm going to say, I've been doing this quite often over the past 2 years. I'm going to say it's going to be the Thumper's Revenge, and they're going to take Paul down 3-2.
So the best part about the teams that didn't make A side or B side and rounds 2 and 3 of the playoffs is you get matched up with people that you haven't played. It's manual matching, so if at all possible, you get extra play games against people you didn't play, which is really what a league should be all about. Playing different people over the season, getting in games, meeting and making new friends. I think they're going to make some friends on this game, and I think it is going to be a 3-2, and I think it is going to be Thumper's Revenge just thumping on the Tigers.
Well, and they do know each other, right, from the original league. So it's kind of cool. I'm really quite excited to see this game. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've ever played, but they have played in leagues at the same time before.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Paul's played Laura in the original league.
That was 20 some years ago, dude. I have a good memory, but it's not that good.
I didn't say I had a good memory either. I'm just saying I think. Not positive. No, this should be a really interesting game. But I do think you are both correct. It's going to be a Thumper's Revenge win. Paul's going to do some crazy shit as usual, which we expect and love. But I think Thumper's Revenge is going to be ready for it. And we're going to see a 3-2 Thumper's win.
Game number 10. We see the Blood of Bashir up against the Lords of the Underworld. 2 guys that really enjoy Battletech and have been having a lot of fun. I'm glad Andrew got out to get his first taste of Battletech, which amazes me that he came and joined League and did really as well as he did. Because really, he was learning at the table. And then Lords of the Underworld Jay is fun. He's just fun to play with. Great attitude. And I think it was just his first games as well. So coin toss to see who's going to win this one. I'm going to say Andrew gets another win. Andrew's going to win this one. Only because I think it would be great if he went into the first round of the off season with a win. And I'm going to say the Blood of Bashir are going to win with a 2-1 victory.
This is a game that is going to be a lot of fun. Both players are going to enjoy it. Blood of Bashir is going to walk away with this one, I think, as a victory. Not walking away with it just overall, but will put a W up in the column with losing something to the Berserker. Jay's going to get a Timmy moment, but Blood of Bashir are going to. It's a tough call. Is it going to be 3-2 or is it 2-1? I think it's going to be final call 3-2 Blood of Bashir.
Now that you've said that, Brett, I'm thinking about a Timmy's moment. I now have to get one of our modeling friends to get put in one of my mechs at Tim Hortons Cup. The truly Canadian mech.
Oh, you just want a Tim Hortons cup in the mech's hand?
Yep.
Oh, I can do that. Oh, I think Timmy's just going to go to town on this one, boys. I think
4-1 all Timmy kills.
That would be glorious. Even though it would be at the expense of Vandrew. I don't. That's not going to happen. As hilarious as it would be, no. I think we are going to see a Lords of the Underworld win, and I think we're going to see it with a 2-1. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But in the end, I think Timmy is going to, rule the day, I should say, not rue the day, and carry that win. He's actually going to be effective, I think. As much as Jay's wanted that thing to be effective all year, I think now is when it's going to come into play.
I mean, props to Jay. He brought a Berserker, so he came with a knife to a gunfight.
Game number 11. Normally we have it all in big, last game of the night. Unfortunately, it's not going to be played this week. We had one team drop out and one team that's unable to make this round of playoffs. So there's not going to be a game for our game number 11. However, the team that didn't make it is, of course, welcome back the next game day because it's just for fun. I think we have draw prizes for those guys still, though, too, don't we?
I will have to check our stock. I think we still have door prizes. But yeah, also, all of our players, I need to have you all come and see me so that we can get those final numbers in for all of the rolls for prizes for all of the games, 1 through 10, so that we can get those all awarded and handed out, and then we can announce what they were. Additionally to that, any of our people that are past players or looking to play for next season, you are all welcome to come out and either pre-arrange games or let us know that you're available, and we will do our best to try and match up games for you. Because from here on out, it's all about playing games with people and having a good time. Playoffs are always an exciting part of the year for me. A side has maps predetermined for them for all 3 rounds, and the final match for both A side and B side will be played on the exact same arena.
All right, folks. Remember, though, awards. We do have awards, so please think of your nominations for the following league awards. First up, we have the Phoenix Hawk Memorial, aka the Tactical Blunder Award. This trophy is awarded to the player who made a calculated move that they thought would be a good thing at the time, only to find out in the end that it didn't go good for them. It went poor. Perhaps bad. Oh, so bad, in fact, that, that's who wins this award. So get your nomination in for that one. Next up, we have Master Tactician. This award should be a nomination for the player who have really a great grasp of the game, all around strategy, tactics, how to play Battletech, especially league-style Battletech. They don't have to be the best in the win-loss ratio, but just someone you can always ask for a question of that's going to have an answer for advice, or just someone who is intimidating to face on the battlefield because they're just good, and remember, scores don't matter for this one. It's just whoever you think is, a master tactician. And last but not least, which this one is actually, I would say, in my opinion, the best award for the league, the Good Egg Award. This is someone who you have really enjoyed playing against, who is the epitome of always happy, that you would be happy to lose to, happy to win against. It's someone that is always smiling, and someone that you always want to have a game against. You know, you sit across the table from them and say, you know, this person makes this game that much more enjoyable. And in fact, it could be somebody that, you know, you just want to play. You'd play more outside of the league than you know. That's overall just a great player, great attitude, and yeah, just constantly upbeat and happy.
Yeah, and on that regard, I do have something to put in here. Heather will have the awards nominations and voting up probably in the next week for everybody to be able to link to and get your vote in. And then we'll see what happens. Get your nominations in as well. We need to know who you think is qualified for these awards, and then we'll get the voting going.
Yeah, so don't be a stranger. Put your nominations in for these, please, so that we can, you know, get the awards done and get the voting done, and get these awards out to the appropriate parties.
When you're doing your nominations, please give us more than just a name. Give us a little blurb. We're not able to observe and watch all the games. So if there's something, especially for the Phoenix Hawk Memorial, if you're like, this was a part of the game and I want to nominate this person for this maneuver, or if you want to be like, this is why I want to give this person the Good Egg Award and list off, absolutely, we want more detail, not less detail, so that we can try and get this out to more information so that people can make better voting choices. Thanks for joining us again in 2023 for our first episode. We're excited to be bringing you more content again after the end of the year break.
Yeah, it's nice to be back, right? Yeah, so I look forward to another great year of Battletech, and especially finishing off the playoffs this year. And yeah, well, just thanks for listening, folks, and we'll see you next time.
This has been the longest month ever. I have been jonesing to get back to recording with you guys. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys, and it's fun to be part of League. I have to say, peace out, everybody. Have a good night, and look forward to seeing you on the 8th.
Coming at you like a shot to the cockpit. Good night and lights out.